We encourage you to try to follow along either locally or through the binder. And with that, we can get started. Martin Uecker will present a quick introduction, and then we'll get right into the exercises.
Okay, so it's also a pleasure from my side to welcome you to this second BART webinar. I would like to introduce you here a little bit. As you all know, the software toolbox, BART is a software toolbox for computational MI. We designed it for rapid prototyping, for reproducible research, for clinical translation of new computational MI techniques. It consists of programming libraries and command line tools which support calibration, reconstruction, and many important tasks you do when working with MI data. It's available for Linux and Mac OS X, and also to some degree it works on Windows. It's BSD licensed, so it's free for commercial use. And you can find it on GitHub, and well, of course, welcome to use it for all your research purposes. BART has been developed as part of many research projects, and we are particularly happy that we now have NIH funding specifically for working on BART, and this webinar is made possible by this NIH grant. So we are thankful for this. So a couple of updates before we dive into the real content. So in terms of reproducible research, a lot of things are happening in the community. You may know that the ISMM has a reproducible research study group. You're welcome to join, of course. And this study group has been organizing seminal paper challenges, and the first one was about implementing the CG sense method. And all this webinar will also go into this challenge a little bit from our side. There's now an MM paper summarizing the result of the challenge. First author is Oliver Meyer, and you can learn about the obstacles and challenges which people find when trying to reproduce this paper. There was also a member-initiated symposium at the ISMM, and hopefully next year we will also be able to organize one. So there's a lot of momentum for this side. Also, magnetic resonance in medicine pushes the idea of reproducible research. So now if you submit a paper, you might have noticed that there's now a data availability statement you're supposed to add to your paper and justify your or give links to the source code and the scripts you use to create to process your data. Also, the highlights initiative highlights papers which are reproducible research. So this is really becoming a hot topic. And of course, this is very good for BART also, because the BART-Toolbox was meant in part to facilitate reproducible research. And from this side, there are also a couple of updates. So we again had a lot of abstracts at the ISMM which use or at least cite the BART-Toolbox, so that's very good. At least from some groups, there are reproducible papers using the BART-Toolbox. So for now, they are mostly from my group, so we do this a lot, but I hope more and more people actually produce such papers which can be reproduced using the BART-Toolbox. If you have such papers, I'm very happy to add this also to the BART website to highlight your paper. In terms of BART development, there are a couple of main things we are doing. We work a lot on model-based reconstruction, the linear types, the subspace models where we have been supported by BART for quite a while, but we continuously improve this, reducing memory usage or improving performance, especially on GPUs. So there's some work going into that. And we also recently added some nonlinear model-based reconstruction techniques. Machine learning is, of course, a big topic, and BART still does not support it, but we are actively working on this in my lab. And so stay tuned. I already started to integrate some of the basic infrastructure we need for this. So this this will appear very soon in the BART-Toolbox. We are also working with introducing language bindings, especially for Python, but hopefully also for other languages, because we know that a lot of BART users actually use BART from these other environments. So this will hopefully see some better support. And the fourth area we are working on is improved parallelization using graphical processing units. So there's some changes, improvements already integrated and more upcoming. We also hope to support BART on the cluster so that you can do reconstructions which span multiple cluster nodes. And so this is our topics which are actively being worked on, and some of this will appear very soon in the BART-Toolbox. Now back to the BART webinars. We had our first webinar in June, and now this is the second one. And we plan to do this more often, so we expect another one maybe for February next week. So we'll see an announcement soon. And as usual, you can find the materials, recordings from our webinars on this website. For the first one, it looks like this. So you can actually download all the materials and the recordings and the Jupyter notebooks which were used. And I hope that in this way we can build up some good training material over time. Now, this is already the end of my introduction. I welcome you again to the second BART webinar. And this is our schedule. I will now hand over to Christian Holme, who will give an introduction into the sense reproducibility challenge, or how we can approach this challenge with the BART-Toolbox. And then in the second half of this webinar, Effort will give an introduction to advanced regularization methods for dynamic MRI, which is also something which is very well supported by the BART-Toolbox. And welcome again, and I hand over to Christian.
While Christian is switching, I'll just mention again, if you have questions,